Good evening, friends. Week 11. 4 games left. It's time to claim some playoff spots. Still wide open. I think Greg still technically has a chance to make the playoffs right now. Welcome to the Week 11 show of the Massillon Fantasy League. He's Dan. I'm Ryan. How you doing tonight, my friend?
Doing great. Yourself?
So good. I don't know. Saturdays are just boring ass days for me. I look forward to doing this show every day.
I'm excited YouTube TV finally got back together with ESPN. I can watch all sports again.
Oh, did that? I knew a whole bunch of people were bitching about that finally happened.
Yeah, that finally happened late last night. Probably it was like 9:30, so it's probably you were already asleep for at least an hour and a half, I bet.
Certainly. Yeah, I use what do I use now? Sling for Red Zone, and I watch the Thursday game on Prime, and that's pretty much all I watch. So that's my extremely boring life. Well, Dan, let me just get the league up on the screen right now. Things are wide open. We are going down to 8 right now at 5 wins. But if you scroll down a little bit further, we get all the way down to team 12 with 4 wins when 5 wins is technically in the playoffs right now, Dan. Week 10, I felt like while it was a largely predictable week, it definitely opened things up in the playoff race.
I mean, I feel like it's been like this all year.
It has.
So to me, no, I mean, it's just another week.
Just another week?
Just another week.
Just another week, he says. Well, let's get into lessons learned, Dan. I think the first one has to be someone we've talked about on this show more than I think any player maybe in this show's history. Jonathan Taylor is just unreal. 46 fantasy points, the most we've seen this season, over 200 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns. But more importantly, Dan, do you know who had the most points scored in our league before Jonathan Taylor? This week, or this season, rather?
This season? Whew. I mean, I know Brock Bowers had a 40-pointer. Someone else had another 40-pointer. Who was it?
The Minnesota defense.
That's right. Week 3 against the Bengals.
Yep. And it was week 3 against the Bengals. And number 3, I know all too well, Myles Garrett.
That's right.
Before that game was 41 points. Dan, for my next note, I'm noticing that the show didn't go to the league page like it normally does. And I think it's because of this whole weird thing I'm doing where it's trying to create 2 broadcasts. So that's a mess. Hopefully people are catching it, but if not, they'll catch it after the fact. Dan, my second thing is someone who I've paid a lot of attention to, and that is Trey McBride. Animal when Jacoby Brissett is the quarterback. Over the last 4 games with Jacoby Brissett, Trey McBride has 81 fantasy points in our league scoring. If he only played those 4 games, Dan, he would be the tight end 9 in our league and have more points than Brock Bowers. Now, Bowers has only played 6 games, but still.
So you got me looking at Jonathan Taylor here. And Kenny's trade for him actually is not the worst one ever.
No?
No. Taylor traded him to Kenny for Justin Fields and a 2nd-round draft pick.
Jesus. I didn't even know Taylor had JT. We've been harping on Kenny this whole time. This is way more of a Taylor problem, it sounds like.
This man has been traded a lot.
Oh, I thought it only showed this season when you went in there. Does it go all the way back to see?
Oh, yeah. He was from when you drafted him, you kept him twice.
Yep.
When you traded him to Kenny traded him to Taylor. Taylor traded him back to Kenny. Kenny traded him JR.
I should have just kept him. I'd be riding high this season, though. I don't know what I got in all of my trades. So what did I trade?
That was a giant trade. Tons of draft picks, 6 total players. It was a mess.
Okay. Sounds about right. Sounds like a Ryan trade. And then, Dan, my final point sounds like or looks like Darren can beat good teams too. After what Darren felt like was a stolen win, he comes back and beats Terry for real and puts Terry's playoff hopes in jeopardy.
Thank you, Darren.
Yeah. Darren doing the damn thing. Dan, before we start talking trade deadline and the playoffs, any notes from week 10 that you want to get out there?
A lot of low scores last week.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Let's bring that up on the screen. Yeah, 73 points from Eric, 82 from Kenny, 91 from you, 77 from Horvath, 67 from Phil, and the 97 win on Mott's. Definitely a weirder week for this late in the season, and it wasn't even one of the worst bye weeks we had faced.
Yep.
It's
not any good games last week. They were all blowouts.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Like nothing was remotely close. We weren't waiting until Sunday night to figure anything out like we've done in the past. So, or Monday night rather. Dan, when we look at the trade deadline, did you pulled off Zay Flowers? Yeah, literally right after the show. So you kicked off.
I just accepted that. That was sent to me.
Yeah. Well, I know JR was trying to buy a wide receiver. That was 2 shows ago. He is trying to buy a wide receiver. I think this is a great trade for you. Obviously, Zay Flowers was not a keeper, wasn't a major factor on your team even, and to get a 1 out of him, I think was a nice win for you.
Oh, I'll take that trade every day. I did everything I could to turn that 1 into something else, but it didn't work out.
I was going to say, the trade deadline kind of got quiet. Kenny, for whatever reason, got the Brian Maguire itch. I have to move this player by 7 o'clock tonight. And I think takes what most people in the league regard as way too less for Jamar Chase. Way too little.
I agree. I mean, what did he get here? So let's see.
Mike Evans and Tyreek Hill both on IR. Breece Hall and Zach Charbonnet and a 2026 first. Kenny's defense in the league chat where everybody went at him. I ended up turning my phone off because I did not know how hard you guys were going to go at each other. Kudos to all of you guys for keeping it respectful. But Kenny in the league chat basically said he got the guy he wanted, who I assume is Hall, and a first. And so everything else was just icing on the cake for him. I don't think this is close to the value that Jamar Chase holds in our league.
No, I think he could have got more. I know I sent an offer. I didn't get any type of like counter offer or anything like that to say what it would make. I don't know if there was counters, if this was just an offer, he just accepted whatever offer was the best in his eyes. I will say if Charbonnet takes over in Seattle, because I think what's the guy?
Kenneth Walker.
I think Walker's contract is up at the end of the year.
Yeah.
If he leaves and Charbonnet takes over and he gets 2 starting running backs and a 1.
That's fair.
That can make it a little bit better.
Because I think we're past the days of Mike Evans being we're past the days of Mike Evans and Tyreek Hill being keepers. Like they're not top 3 picks in fantasy football, which means they're not keepers in our league. Breece Hall is still a top 3 pick. Maybe a 3rd rounder, but a top 3 pick. So at least you got a keeper and a first. But I mean, and I understand we're not in the exact same environment, and he was up against the wall with the trade deadline, but he still had 24 hours. We've seen players like Chase move for 1, 2s, and 3s. That's what I gave up for Devon Achane.
Oh, I definitely think some more draft picks should have been involved there.
And Stevie just gloating. It certainly makes me look smart for picking Stevie as my champion because he already had a great team, and now you add Jamar Chase to that team. Seems like sky's the limit for Stevie, but when I say sky's the limit, what I actually mean is 1 running back injury is the limit for Stevie because he did give up all of his RB depth and he cannot sustain a running back injury whatsoever.
I mean, we talked about that same thing last week. Nobody can. Nobody here is built to withstand an injury.
Stevie doesn't have a player he can put in right now on a running back injury. Stevie is a waiver wire ad if he gets a running back injury.
Yeah.
Everybody else has a running back on their bench. I just picked up the starter in RJ Harvey. We don't need to talk about Dan's betrayal of me in our 32-team league where I bought J.K. Dobbins and the man's season is now fucking over. Not happy, Dan. Kobe Bryant better ball out for the rest of this season because every time I do a trade with you in that league, Dan, it fucks me. every single time. I don't remember what the last one was, but I know this basically same thing happened. I bought a player off of you. He was like immediately worthless. And this is now 2 times in a row, which is probably going to end our trade partnership in that league. And then Dan, you buy Joe Flacco for a 6. Pretty fair price for a guy who, since he has taken over as the Cincinnati Bengals starter, is, I believe, the number 1 QB in fantasy football.
Yeah, Daniel Jones is just not doing it right now for me. I needed to make a move at quarterback. Joe Flacco made the most sense. Cheap, affordable. I think I can count on top 5 production from him.
Yeah, I'm going to look it up right now. When did he take over for you guys? That would have
4
been
weeks ago. 4 weeks. He played 1 game in Green Bay, then he's had
week 6. It's actually that same week when Jacoby Brissett took over. I didn't realize. So Joe Flacco in Fantasy Pro scoring. Oh, wait, no, I have to take week 10 out because he had or actually, I'll just sort of by points per game. Yes, Joe Flacco is the QB1 by 0.2 of a point since taking over as the Bengals starter.
It doesn't surprise me. I mean, he's put monster numbers. I find it interesting that Burrow's now talking about coming back sooner.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I have Burrow, so it doesn't really matter. I'll
exactly. For you, it works out perfectly.
And that's why I went that route. Hopefully he keeps putting up those numbers. I need more production than what I'm getting out of Daniel Jones. So
yep. I found it interesting and I immediately thought of you. Obviously you didn't overpay for Flacco. I do a lot of shows throughout the week and everybody's like, I need to get Flacco. I need to get Flacco. I need to get Flacco. He got dropped in a bunch of redraft leagues last week because they were on bye. And so everyone was like adamant about getting Flacco. And then Joe Burrow makes his announcement and now the world has lost their mind. So
that's funny.
All right, Dan, comes to the point of the show where we talk playoffs. After week 10, did anything change for you whatsoever? I'll quickly say it did not for me. I have my same 6 teams, Stevie, me, Rob P, Terry, Motts, and you. I will say, based on my now projections where I'm projecting every week forward, Terry is now in a 4-team tie for the final playoff spot, but I am giving him the tiebreaker.
No, I think the 6 that are there are the 6 that are in. I think Stevie getting Chase, I'll have to put him as the champion. No,
yes.
That's a change for me.
Stevie remains my champion as well. Let's get in to week 11. Switch this screen up real quick. I think it's still showing week 10. Yep. As we slide into week 11, Dan, as I mentioned last week, quite predictable. I go 6-1. You go 5-2. Taylor talked you in out of the tie and into an extra loss. That puts me 5 correct picks ahead of you. Not so predictable for Darren. I don't know if Darren's trying a strategy where he can try to catch up on us right now because Darren is 14 games behind me. It does remind me, Darren actually sent me his picks, and I forgot to get them into the show sheet, so I'll try to have those up as we are doing this here. Dan, we'll start this thing off with the first game, which is me versus Rob. Rob had some Thursday night action. Drake May gets him 11 fantasy points. Hunter Henry gets him 6 fantasy points. I had nobody going on Thursday. I'm sitting at 7 wins. Rob is sitting at 7 wins. We are 2nd and 3rd in the league. Sleeper has me projected to win this one by 30. What are your thoughts, Dan?
I think that Rob messed up. I think Rob needed to make a move at the trade deadline. He didn't. I think his team. I'm not. If there's a team, if I asked you, give me one team that's going to fall out of the playoffs, I think you're looking at me or Rob.
I have it as JR. Though maybe I'm an idiot when you consider. Sorry, I'm trying to get Darren's picks into the show.
Yeah, I can keep talking.
Oh, no, you're fine. But what I was trying to say is I have it as JR falling out right now, but I see exactly what you're saying here.
I think he's taking the losses in this game, drops him to 7-5. May still has his bye coming up week 14, and he has a tough matchup that week as well. That puts him at 7-6, and then I don't know. I think he's in some trouble.
Yep. Like I said, let me look at my own projections here. So I have him at 1 more win. I have him winning week 12, which is Drake May's bye, I'm guessing. No, Drake May is my own 14. So I have
14.
Rob winning next week.
Yeah, he plays 20.
Yeah, and again, I said last week I didn't have Kenny winning a game the rest of the season. So
yeah, I think Rob ends up at 8-6, and I think there's gonna be a whole lot of teams there at 8-6. And when you look at points, Rob is nowhere close. He's the lowest of all the playoff teams right now.
Yeah, Rob is not winning this thing on a tiebreaker.
Yeah, there are multiple teams behind him outside of the playoffs that have more points than him as well. So I think his team needs to come through and steal a win from either you or Rob.
I wish Darren was watching the show live. I'm going to have to shoot him a text. Darren chose Daniel Jones as his quarterback for the game. He's on bye. So is Darren just trying to protect himself against a negative week?
Well, as many times as Daniel Jones has fumbled and thrown interceptions the last 2 weeks, I would say, yeah, that's his best bet. This Daniel Jones is not doing it.
Yeah, I'll send him a reminder to get that updated. Dan, I don't think you probably did articulate it, but I was a bit distracted. Sorry, not my normalness on the show. I'm guessing you're picking me here.
Yeah, I took you for the win there.
Yeah, I have it as Rob could not survive with Drake May and Hunter Henry being average. Those are two positions where I'm not average right now. Justin Herbert's playing great. Trey McBride's playing out of his mind. And then when you look at the matchup at RB2 and wide receiver 2, Achane versus Javonte Williams, Drake London versus Troy Franklin, that's just kind of the nail in Rob's coffin for me on this one. Dan, I was wondering what your thoughts were because I feel like an idiot. Devontae Adams dealing with an oblique injury, Drake London dealing with flu-like symptoms. I was inches away from putting Diggs in for somebody, and I leave him out on a 17-point week. I feel like an idiot.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it shouldn't affect me. I say it shouldn't affect me, but it certainly could. As we slide the matchup meter down, we got Rob P, 6 wins. Eric at 5 wins. Definite playoff implications here. Sleeper has Rob P winning this one by 22 points. And Dan, I noticed, like you said last week, not a lot of close games last week. Sleeper doesn't have a lot of these games close either. I got Rob P winning this. I was reminded, Dan, I was updating the league document that we started calling Rob P Bobby Wins last year. I'm like, that's like the best nickname ever. I don't know why we got away from that.
Because he stopped winning.
Because he stopped winning.
Can't call him Bobby Wins if he's not winning.
I guess it's on you now, Rob P. to get
start winning, buddy. We want to start calling you Bobby Wins again.
Yeah. I did think this was a closer matchup than I thought it was going to be, but there's the elephant in the room, which is Jahmyr Gibbs and Emeka Egbuka. I think that just slides everything over towards Rob P. I'm taking him for the win. What I did find interesting, Dan, at quarterback, you got Lamar Jackson versus Matthew Stafford. On their benches, you have Dak Prescott versus Jalen Hurts. Do you believe, as you pick your winner, that these teams are making the correct quarterback decision?
That's tough. I mean, I don't think it's really going to matter. I mean, Seattle's defense is tough, but Stafford has been great.
Detroit's 4 touchdowns, I think, in each of his last 2 games.
That's a tough call, but Detroit's defense has been a little shaky. I feel like no matter what Lamar Jackson, when he plays Cleveland, just puts up numbers. They played earlier this year. What did Lamar get earlier this year in that game? He scored 30 points against that Cleveland defense, week 2.
Wow.
4 passing touchdowns. QB4 for the week.
Yeah, but I didn't even consider that. I just kind of thought, Dak against the Raiders, but Lamar against Cleveland is kind of Dak against the Raiders. So,
but I will say it's in Cleveland this time. It is going to be windy and cold tomorrow, so that could slow him down a little bit. And again, I respect the Browns' defense. They have a good defense, but he lit them up week 2 pretty bad.
Yeah.
I would just leave it. I think it's the safest bet. And he doesn't need a home run. He just needs 15 to 20 points, and he should have a good enough spot there to solidify a win.
So
if Dak comes out and that lays an egg, who do you think is more likely to come out and lay an egg, Lamar or Dak?
God, just the way you're asking the question, I'm going to say with that Cleveland defense, the most likely to have a bad game here is Lamar.
Dak has had games of 4, 7, and negative 0.17 this year.
Interesting. I did not realize Dak went negative.
Yeah, against Denver, he threw 2 picks. I don't know if he had a fumble in there somewhere else, but he actually finished with negative points at Denver.
Okay.
And that was literally a week. So if you combine his last 2 weeks, he's at 10.17 points total.
Okay, so I'm just giving Dak way too much credit here, plain and simple. Might have to look at my Fantasy Pros rankings because I may be giving Dak way too much credit here, plain and simple. I imagine you're taking Rob P to win this based on everything you said.
Yes.
Yeah. So we slide down. We got Terry versus Greg. Greg does have a lineup this week for Greg Lineup Watch. Terry, as we mentioned, takes the L last week, sitting at 4 wins. Greg at 3-7. Terry cannot afford a loss again this week. Sleeper says he will walk away with this one by about 27 points. Greg did have a Thursday night, I believe. Yeah, it was his defense, New England Patriots defense. Got him 7 points, kind of average, below average in our league. Dan, I am taking Terry to keep everything alive here. By the way, I forgot because I have Darren's picks early. Darren picked Motts to beat me, and Darren picked Eric. So he is contrarian on both of the first 2 games. But Darren does agree with me on Terry winning this one. I said, I think Terry takes this one down pretty easily. I cannot believe, Dan, just for anecdotal stuff, the amount of 2 tight end games we've seen in the Massillon Fantasy League this season. I feel like this is the 3rd or 4th time 2 teams are starting 2 tight ends against each other. 4 tight ends in this matchup. I don't think any of this matters. I think Terry takes it down. I do think we need to talk a little bit about Greg's quarterbacks as well. Going with Rodgers against Cincinnati's defense. One of my lessons last week is start everybody against Cincinnati. He gets Jared Goff against Cleveland, which could be a good game. He gets Brock Purdy back this week. Aaron Rodgers has been kind of dull this season, but his best game was against your Bengals. So I wonder if you agree with that call and who you have winning this one.
I'm going to say Terry's going to get the win, but I'm going to say this. Derrick Henry scored 1.4 points against Cleveland the first time.
Yeah. Did he have like 29 yards or something like that?
Yeah, it was a crazy, terrible game for him. I expect the same, but I also say that Aaron Rodgers is going to score enough points to keep Greg in this game.
Okay. I like Aaron Rodgers a lot this week. Yeah, he's my stream of the week quarterback. Greg has been holding on to 3 quarterbacks all season. It's been a weird roster construction, but like I said, when he sets a lineup, I like his team, and he got a win again last week. So,
like, the Bengals defense is managing just to get worse every week, which is actually really impressive.
Yeah, in my articles this week, I put defense in the quotations because I wasn't sure we were still allowed to call it a defense at this point.
I don't know. It's so bad. It's just so bad.
Yeah. Not a whole lot to add on that one as we slide down to Kenny versus Taylor. Lots of Thursday action on this one. Kenny gets 6 points from Breece Hall. Taylor gets what I refer to him today as premature ejaculation, with Travian Henderson going off for 3 touchdowns, almost 29 fantasy points. And Dan, that has brought Sleeper to like Taylor's team by 40 points. I'll actually let you start us off on this one.
Taylor's going to run away with this. It's pretty much over already. Not much to really talk about.
Travian Henderson versus Breece Hall just ends it. And I actually agree. I listed this as a blowout. Taylor has a spot at every position except quarterback, or has an edge rather. That average day from Breece Hall against Travian Henderson is one thing, but then you throw in what Jackson Smith and Jigba has been doing in PPR right now. I did find one thing hilarious about this matchup, Dan. This was kind of you earlier this season. Alvin Kamara on bye, Mike Evans on IR, Tyreek Hill on IR, Darius Slayton out, Sam Laporta on IR. Kenny's bench is the Walking Dead right now.
Yeah, been there. Now you feel it sucks. I know Sleeper has the edge to McCarthy, but I would take Darnold over McCarthy. I think that Taylor has the edge at every position.
Yeah, I just said it was even at quarterback. I definitely wouldn't give the edge to Kenny. I could see what you're saying with the slight edge to Darnold just because he's played better this season. That Chicago defense is up there with the Bengals defense. So we'll see how that plays out. Next up, we have Stevie versus Darren. Stevie got 9 points on Thursday night from his IDP, Robert Spillane. Darren did not have anybody playing. Sleeper, again, has this one as a blowout, 30 points plus. Dan, I happen to agree, but I'll let you get us started on this one as well.
Which game you on? Sorry.
Oh, no, we're fine. Stevie versus Darren.
Oh, yeah, Stevie. I know Darren got the win last week. That's probably his last one.
Yeah.
Enjoy, Darren.
That's kind of what I had is Stevie was running away with this, but then you talk about Rico Dowdle versus Blake Corum and Jamar Chase versus Jacoby Myers, Amon-Ra St. Brown versus Eli Gilliam, or Khalil Shakir versus Malik Washington, though Washington's played well. Darren just doesn't have the horses to compete in this race. I did want to point out the hilarity that was already pointed out in the chat. Darren trades for Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels gets hurt. We list Jackson Dart as Darren's savior. Jackson Dart has a concussion, so Darren is now on to his third quarterback, Jacoby Brissett, who has played well for Arizona. So Darren out here, our version of the Madden curse. And Darren's asking for QB loans right now in the chat. So I like Jacoby Brissett, but
I heard you like Daniel Jones, Darren. I'll send him your way.
There you go. Yes, Darren, you're watching the show right now. You told me Daniel Jones and Devon Achane. Daniel Jones is on bye for the game, so change that to who you want that to be. I'm certain it's not Daniel Jones that you wanted to pick. When you sent me your
even if he was playing, I'm certain it wasn't Daniel Jones that you wanted picked.
Yeah, there's that too. I thought it was an interesting pick. By the way, I keep forgetting because I don't normally have his picks. Darren agreed with us on Taylor. Darren agreed with us on Stevie. There is going to be a disagreement on this next game. And Dan, talk about an old rivalry game. I don't know how many wings Phil owes you at this point, but you versus Phil, you're sitting at 5 wins. Phil is sitting at 4 wins. Sleeper has this once again as a blowout, though 18 points compared to some of the other games this week. Not exactly a blowout because it's your game. I will get us started. I'm picking you. Darren is picking Phil. And I see this as another blowout, Dan. The only matchup and player on Phil's team that I like is Josh Jacobs. I think he is going to feast against that Giants defense. But other than that, you just kind of like take enormous leaps, certainly at RB2 wide receiver and tight end. Hilariously, you got Brock Bowers from him. So RB2 wide receiver and tight end are big ones for you. And then I was going to let you talk a little bit about the Burrow comeback, but you had already kind of touched on that earlier in the show.
I think I get the win as well. I think either Josh Jacobs or Jordan Love have a big game against the Giants. I don't see both of them having a big game.
That's kind of where I stand too, Dan, and not that anybody in the league cares about this. That has me nervous when I'm building DFS lineups because I don't put a lot of money in DFS every week. I don't know which one of those is going to have the big game. I know one of them is, and it's causing me to steer clear of both of them because I can't really predict who's going to have the best game out of that group.
My bet, just because Jordan Love's seems like he's struggling lately, and I'm not really sure exactly what's the problem, is I would think Josh Jacobs would end up with the better game. I'm not convinced it's necessarily going to be a blowout. Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence likes to turn the ball over. He has the Chargers defense going for him. Roquan Smith could have a big day against the Browns. I mean, I think he keeps it respectable. But I don't know. Phil doesn't talk to me anymore. He's too busy with his life, or he's just tired of losing one or the other. I don't know. He owes me wings for decades.
Yeah.
Nope, I don't hear from him.
Yep.
Still love you, though, Phil. Hi, Jesse.
Yeah. She must not be helping much this season. Get your shit together, Jesse. Dan, I have to give Sleeper some credit. I've noticed this a lot this season. I used to try to save the best game of the week for last on the show, and I've pivoted this season to keeping things as easy as possible. So it's just a lot of scrolling, and I don't forget games or anything weird like that. I feel like the last game Sleeper gives us every week is always a really good game, and this one is another really good game. Horvath sitting at 4 wins, JR sitting at 6 wins. You catch JR on the week where he doesn't have Jonathan Taylor. That's enormous in itself, and Horvath is projected to win this matchup by 7 points, Dan. I think this is close to being a playoff decider. Maybe not necessarily getting Horvath in because he doesn't make it on my projections. He is tied with Terry in my projections. But I'm picking Horvath here And I think that's enough to knock JR out of the playoffs, something we talked about earlier in the show.
Yeah, I was torn on this. It's funny that you say it's on the bottom. It's like the middle of my matchup.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah. And I noticed Darren must have been making his picks sometimes with the show, because Darren has been giving me his picks in the order of the show. And let me tell you how much easier that makes my life. But yeah, I figured on everybody's screen, because it's obviously going to put your matchup on top. I just don't know how it does the rest of the matchups for you folks.
I think it's all just random.
Yeah. Anyway, who do you got winning this one, Dan?
I think I'm gonna go Horvath as well. I'm nervous about it. I think this will be a good game.
I think so too. I listed that this was very close at every position, but we haven't said this about Horvath in a long while. The wide receivers kind of bring this home for him, especially when you don't have Jonathan Taylor on the other side. T. Higgins, excellent matchup. CeeDee Lamb, excellent matchup. I think that's what brings this in. The one thing I am concerned about, Dan, and I talked about this a lot on some other shows this week, Horvath is going with the Dallas defense, and Horvath hasn't got Brandon Aubrey into his thing yet, so I don't think Horvath has even set a lineup yet this week, or he's just sticking with Tyler Loop, which would be a mistake. But Horvath is going with the Dallas defense against the Vegas Raiders. Dallas has been so terrible on defense this season. I'm not even streaming them against Las Vegas, Dan. They didn't crack my top 20 this week with teams on bye. Like, I think they are awful, and I would stay far away from that. Unfortunately, he's waited so long in this process because a lot of us are streaming defense in this league. He may not have much choice at the position.
Dallas was on bye last week. He put them in there. That's his defense.
Holy shit, you're right. So he starts Dallas, but is leaving Brandon Aubrey on his bench? I mean, obviously, this is the most we've talked about kickers in this league in the history of the show, but still seems very strange to me.
I mean, I don't hate the Dallas defense thing just because Geno Smith has just been a turnover machine. Him and Daniel Jones drinking from the same turnover bin, but
yeah, you're not wrong.
I mean, they scored before the bye. Their defense had 19 points against Arizona. Did terrible against Denver, but then scored 21 against Washington. So they've had some good games recently.
Okay, so they're not complete duds. You're absolutely right.
And they did add the defensive tackle from the Jets. Got a linebacker from the Bengals.
Absolutely.
Maybe they can have a respectable game against Geno turnovers.
All right. Well, when we look it over, Dan, well, I'll just run these down. So me versus Motts. Me and you have me. Darren took Motts. Rob P versus Eric. Me and you have Rob P. Darren took Eric. Terry versus Greg. We are consensus Terry. Taylor versus Kenny. We are consensus Taylor. Stevie versus Darren. We are consensus Stevie. Dan versus Phil. You and I agree. Darren takes Phil. So you and I, Dan, second week in a row, we agree on every pick. You're not getting any better in this contest here.
Here's the thing. I can take some bad picks if I, just
you let Taylor talk you into it last week, so don't do that. Try to keep this thing respectable. Yeah. And then Darren takes JR. So Darren has some swings this week that if you and I are wrong on 4 games, Darren can try to make this a contest again. Speaking of contest, Dan, it is that time of the show. Let's go ahead and make our picks after I fix the screen here. I will let you know how everybody did last week. Darren, for the first time all season, takes the contest down. He took Josh Allen and Devon Achane. Both had a great week. Nobody else in the contest scored more than 28 points. I was at 28. You were at 24. Taylor was at 21. Darren takes it down with 52 points. Darren's picks are already in. He took Lamar Jackson and Devon Achane. Dan, for my pick, I did the same thing I've been doing. I went and looked at the quarterback who I like, maybe not my number 1 ranked quarterback for the week, but the guy who I think could have the biggest game. And I did the same thing at flex. So at quarterback, Dan, I'm going with Justin Herbert, who happens to be my quarterback. I think this is a game where Jacksonville's kind of a funnel defense. They're not bad against the run. I think Justin Herbert controls this game from start to finish, and we're looking at 3, maybe even 4 touchdowns. And at flex, there was only one player I could pick this week. We saw what he did the last time he faced the Steelers. Give me Jamar Chase. I think he goes completely nuclear. Once again, I'm taking Justin Herbert and your boy, Jamar Chase.
I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers against that Bengals defense, and I'm going to
All
go
right.
Jahmyr Gibbs.
I found it interesting, Dan, that nobody, now when I say nobody, only 4 of us participated last week. Taylor, by the way, in his terrible week, was the week where he picked the Pittsburgh defense as his quarterback and TJ Watt as his flex. So that's why he was terrible. What I'm trying to get at, though, is that nobody took Jonathan Taylor last week. So I this week, with Jonathan Taylor out of the pool, I think it makes a lot of sense. Jahmyr Gibbs, I like a lot this week.
So I'm just looking here at Sleeper because we talked about the Burrow and Flacco thing. They already have Flacco projected at 0 points for
Next
Thanksgiving.
week?
For Thanksgiving.
You would know this better than me. I had heard from one of my listeners on my shows will drop us news quotes and things. And apparently Burrow said he was coming back for the Thanksgiving game.
That's what he said. Yeah. He said his goal is to be back out there for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But I mean, here's the thing. If the Bengals lose the next 3 games, what's the point?
That's where I stood with this is if you guys are, but right now you guys are technically in a playoff hunt. So as long as
what's crazy to me is you just lost to the Jets by 2 points and the Bears by 1 point or whatever the totals were, whether it's reversed or not.
Yeah.
They could be tied for first place right now.
And then you're begging for.
If you had any type of a functional defense.
I agree. I do want to throw Darren up on the screen because there is some gamesmanship to this. I'm not even going to lie. I said this to Marlia when Darren sent me his picks earlier. I was like, Darren took some wild-ass picks this week. I wonder if it's just to try to get back into the contest. Sounds like I was right. Not as wild as Daniel Jones on bye. All fun. All love, Darren. That wraps up the Week 11 preview. Just a reminder in the game, if you guys want to be participating in the game, shoot me a text or drop it in the league chat, your 2 players that you want to pick. I took Herbert and Chase. Dan took A-Rod and Gibbs. Darren took Lamar and Devon Achane. I think Darren might take this one down yet again. So some really, really good picks. Dan, parting words for our friends.
Love you guys. Have a great weekend.
Wait.
That's all I got. Nothing else.
Darren, I don't know what this question means. Has Dan sat T? Anything, Dan? Can you figure it out? I can't either.
T.
Oh, have you sat in that spot yet? He quickly sent it in.
Yeah, I have.
Oh, Dan, don't admit it. Just lie.
No, I'm tired. I've been driving all around for hockey games today. I'm not gonna get to watch any football tomorrow. I didn't get to watch any football all day today. I was like, you know what? I doubt anybody's even still paying attention to this. I'm sitting on my couch. I'm turning on.
Darren was paying attention, Dan. Darren is our most loyal fucking listener, and you have let him down this week.
Sorry, Darren.
As if his fantasy team hasn't let him down enough. Now you can't even sit in a different spot in your house.
No, man. I just wanted to watch some football.
Dan knows for some behind the scenes action. Dan knows if he's late, I'm going to yell at him. So he had to make sure he got here on time. So.
I could care less about that. I just want to be able to watch the games going on in the background.
Gotcha.
While we sit here and talk, because like I said, I'm gonna be gone all day tomorrow, all day today.
I had plenty of vitriol for my opponent last week in Taylor. I was actually able to clip that and send it to my family, and everybody loved it. I don't have vitriol for Rob Motz. Rob Motz has put together a Cinderella season. As you pointed out, Dan, he hasn't scored any fantasy points, but somehow he keeps winning games. There are 2 teams in this league I root for that are not my own team. That is Rob and Terry. There are only 4 OG managers left. And when I say OG, there's a couple of other OGs left. But 4 of us have rode this thing out every season. That's me, you, Terry, and Motz. Terry and Motz do not have a championship yet. So if I'm not rooting for me, I'm rooting for them. But this week, I'm rooting for me. So as always, fuck you, Rob Motz. Hope you have a terrible week. I hope Sunday and Monday are the worst days. But I hope you have a great Tuesday. Katie does something nice for you. We'll see you guys next week. Week 12. What, Dan?
Why does the other OG get some love? I mean, you don't root for my team?
No, you have championships, dickhead. I will never root for your team. Dan, let me tell you something else. Okay, so there are 3 teams I root for. There are 4 teams I root for every week unless I'm playing one of them. So I root for my team. I root for Rob's team. I root for Terry's team. And I root for whoever is playing you, Dan. If you win, I still feel like I lost. We could get into this on the air. We could get into this off the air. In fantasy football, anytime you succeed, I have failed. That's what it really comes down to. I don't want you to win. I want you to go 0-13 so I can try to catch up in the total wins on the standings page. That's what I'm rooting for. I hope you have the worst fucking week for the next 4 weeks, Dan, and I hope I keep winning so that I can close that gap. That wraps up the show. See you bitches in week 12. Bye.